This is a tutorial on how to use Cricut Design Space for the Cricut Maker in the Digital Learning Lab. So after you have downloaded Cricut Design Space or you're using it in the Digital Learning Lab, you will have to make a free account. Once you make a free account and then you log in, you should be looking at a screen that looks like this. Before moving on, you want to make sure that in the upper right-hand corner that the correct machine is selected. So if I click this up here, you'll see that there's actually 5 versions of the Cricut. And the Digital Learning Lab, we have the Cricut Maker. So by default, yours might be Joy, the Explorer. Just make sure that this is selected as Maker so that it's communicating with the right machine. And then you can go to New Project. So for this demonstration, we're going to make a single color sticker with some text, image, a background, but we'll be showing you some of the tools that you have at your disposal for other projects that you may have further down the line. So this is your workspace. Here in the middle, on the left, you have some of the tools, and then at the top, you have some of the editing features, depending on what tool you have selected. So some of the things on the left, you can go to templates. So this gives you the ability to place down a template so that you can work on top of it. So if you're making a design for a t-shirt, I can put the baseball t-shirt down and then I can start putting my designs on there. These will not be a part of your actual design. They're kind of transparent and will not be a part of your final product. The second thing is projects. So Cricut has a wide variety of projects that are already made that you can click and then just make them. One thing I want you to note that's kind of throughout Cricut Design Space are the designs that have this little C or A looking thing, the green. Those are most of the time paid. You will have to pay for that file or for that project, and then you will have access to them. So you can go to all categories, and then so this, yes, Cricut Access, that is kind of like a paid subscription or a pay by project or pay by file. But you can go to free and see what's here, and you can ultimately just pick one of these things and run it, and it will give you the instructions like this hot air balloon. I can click it, it'll give me some of the materials that I'm going to need. Everything else is here. I can customize it if I want to. Even gives you instructions throughout the whole entire process. And then I can click Make It, which it'll bring us to the Make It feature, which is going to be later in the demonstration. So I'm just going to cancel this and we'll get back out of this. So the other things is what's important for making our own designs. So shapes are here. You'll notice that there are free shapes that are here, and then there are the ones with subscriptions. If you know how to use Adobe Illustrator or Inkscape, you can make your own shapes and then just import them in here. But I'll show you how this works. I'll click it, and then it will drop it into my workspace. Now that I have something selected, which you can tell that you have something selected by a bounding box around it, all of these editing tools are available for us. So the undo exists. Basic operation. So I can set a shape or an image or text to do a certain operation. It is set to cut, which is usually what we want it to be as basic. And then there's wavy and other options that are here based on the tool that you have or the style that you want. You can also put it to draw. So you can input a pen or some sort of tool in there that does this. So if I put it to pen, you'll note that it'll do the outline. So it's actually just drawing the outline. It will not fill that in. Going back to cut, it's literally just going to cut the outside with the blade. This is changing it to drawing it with a pen, depending on what material that you have. So we're going to go back to basic cut. You can also change the color. The color will only matter if you're doing designs with multiple colors on it, and that's how you'll keep up with it. So when you go into the final make it process, it's going to say you're going to need this amount of yellow for this layer, you're going to need amount of this red for that. But if we're doing a single color sticker, the color is not necessarily going to matter, so we'll just leave it as black. With this selected, I can do some editing, copying, pasting, duplicating, and deleting. There's also align and arrange and flip, which we'll get to momentarily. There's also this offset feature, which it will make a line that offsets around the particular shape. I can have this as a rounded corner or a very angled corner, and then I can hit apply. And now I've got 2 cut lines that are going to be here based off of the shape. We'll just undo that. And then there's the size, which you can just drag by here or type in a specific size if you know if it is for a specific project. Rotate is here. You can also drag the arrows from the corners. You can hold down Shift to make it snap to certain degrees. And then there's the position. So if I move it here, it updates the position. I can type those in to get it exactly where I want to. Another feature with shapes, let's see if I add another one. Doesn't matter what. I'm going to lay these close together. And with both of these selected, if you look over here on the right, there's this layers preview. These two buttons here, slice and combine. So if I hit slice, it is now taken all of the overlapping parts of the two shapes and has now made that line. So now this is its own separate shape. This is its own separate shape. So I have multiple shapes based off on that arrangement. If I highlight this and go to combine, I have some features here. Weld puts these two shapes together and makes now a one unique shape. If I then go here, unite, kind of basically the same thing. And then you have the other features as well, which is subtract, where you can see it subtracts the front, only leaves you what's behind. And then also intersect, which leaves you just the intersection. And then also exclude, which leaves you the outside, and anything that's overlapping will exclude itself. And now I have a unique shape based off of that. So even with, just delete this, even with just these simple shapes that are here, you can do a lot of complex shapes. So with our demonstration that we're going to do, we're just going to take one of these rectangles, and you can take actually whatever shape that you want. That's kind of going to be our background. I'm going to take that, drop it in, and I'm just going to make it a 3x3, and I can just type that in specifically. Note with changing this, there is a lock feature. So if I change this here, it's automatically going to keep the aspect ratio and change this. If I have this unlocked, I can do this independently. So like 4, and then it'll keep this as a 3. So the next thing is images. I can find images. Cricut has a lot of pre-downloaded images that you can choose from. You're just going to pick one of the free ones. I'm going to search for dog. I'm going to make a sticker for my dog Simon. Note that it's always prioritizing these Cricut Access ones at the top. If you're wanting to do free, the filter is here on the left. You can also filter it by a lot of other things. But note that there is significantly a lot less free options than there are Cricut options, but you can still get by with some of the things here. You can select multiple things at the same time, but once you have what you have selected, it'll show it in green, and then the add canvas is here on the bottom right. You can add it to the canvas. Now I've got my dog. I can situate it wherever I want to. And there we go. Now with multiple things selected, I can show you another feature up here, which is the align. If I want things to be centered, I can do them however I want to. Centered horizontally, now that's centered together. I can also center it in the middle of the entire thing with center vertically as well. And then all of these, you can see how that aligns. And then there's also just the center one. There's also a range. So depending on how you put your elements in, I've put the shape in first, and then I put the dog in. So the square will be at the bottom. The dog will be on the top. If I want it differently, I can click on the particular item, go to arrange, and then I can say bring the front. Now it's at the top. I can do the same thing by dragging it over here in the layers view. So I'm just going to move my dog up a little bit. The second thing is that you can add text. It'll automatically just default with a text in here. My dog's name is Simon. I can type. I can move this thing around. And with this selected, now I have some extra things that I can change. I can change the font. Cricut likes to promote Cricut Access. It will always show you the ones that you can pay for. But if you click on System here in the middle, it's going to pull fonts from your computer. So I can just find something that looks interesting like this one, and now it's changed. And I can then resize it. If it has certain styles associated with it, it will give you those options. I can do different letter spacing in here, line spacing if I have multiple lines like paragraphs, alignment. I can also do curve as well. I can show the diameter and have that curved around something and just type in exactly what I want. And then there's a lot you can play with here with the text. So I'm just going to put this here, highlight everything, and then just do my alignment so that it's there. Now I have my sticker that I can then upload. Another quick tool just to show you is that, yes, there are a lot of limits when it comes to the text, the images, and the shapes that are here, but you can upload your own thing. So I'm going to click on upload. You can see that I've got a few uploads that are here, like this Pikachu and atrium thing. So I can pull things from online, Google Images, and then be able to edit them in a way that it is now a cut file. There are compatible types, so JPEG, PNG, BMP, SVGs. So if the file type has these dot extensions, you will be able to put them in here and manipulate them. So I'm going to show you just a quick example of how that works. You can click upload image. You can browse for the image. I've already downloaded this logo here just to show you. It's going to ask you for a type of image. I usually always go with complex. If it's really simple, you can go with simple. Select it, hit continue. And then this gives you the ability to remove backgrounds. Now I'm not going to change anything, so I'll show you what it's doing. If I hit apply and continue, it says I can either have a print and then cut or a cut image. This shows me just completely black because it's recognized the edge of the image. So it's literally thinking that I'm cutting out a square. I can then print this on the right-hand side. I can select this as a print. So I can put this on printable vinyl, and then I can cut that out on the outside. That's not what I want. I want literally to cut out, say, the outside of the logo. So here with manual, it has this select this kind of wizard tool. I could just click on things that I don't want as long as it's the same color. So this white background I don't want. I click it. Now it shows that transparency. I'm going to go to apply and continue and show you what that looks like. Now this is my new shape that I can then cut. But I don't want that. I may want to remove some of this, some of this. You want to make sure that you get everything. And then even in the letters, I want the letters to pop out too. Now I've got something that I kind of want. I can hit apply and continue. Now this is my new cut image. It will cut that out. And I can have that as a sticker. There's also an erase feature. So maybe I want to come in here and use this. You can change the eraser size. Maybe I just want the logo part with some time and effort. I can do remove this. Note that some of the lines that are there, I can then go with the erase and get rid of some of this as best as possible. You can take more care with this. I can hit apply and continue, and then I can start to have just that little banner that has logo. So that's where I can pull some things that already exist online and then be able to edit them into a sticker. But I don't want that, but I'm just showing you that there is ways to take images and be able to make them cut files that already exist. Now we go to the process of making it, and that's what's about to be the second video that you'll watch. With this here, I have it how I want it. I can go to make it. And then it'll start to show me how to put things on the mat. I wanted to show you this first. It's separated everything. It's put things into two different mats, but I actually just want it all in one. So if you hit cancel, there's one thing that you want to make sure that you do, especially for a single sticker, is highlight everything. And then here at the bottom under the layers panel is click attach. That puts them all together and treats it as one thing. So you note that all the colors have changed. Now it's one thing. I can go to make it. And now it is one image. What this will show you is the mat, and this is how you'll load the mat based off of these settings here. We want it to be on a mat, and then the material size. It's always going to default to 12 by 12, the full mat size, but that, in my opinion, is a waste of material. You want to make sure that you pick the lowest one that will fit your design in here. This notes that it's 5 by 8 by 8 by 3, but when you go to cut out your vinyl, I know that it's going to fit within like a 5 by 5. I'll just cut that out. The Cricut's not going to recognize this and throw an error because you don't have the right size material, but that's a good thing to go by. And then you'll hit continue. and then it will go into the Connect machine. So you'll want to make sure that your machine is on. With the machine on, it will show this to you here in the Digital Learning Lab at 61F9 Bluetooth. It will ask you for your set base material. So this is what you're going to cut it on. If it's vinyl, printable vinyl, your cardstock or whatnot. I have a few that are star that we usually use a lot. But if you don't see those there, you can go to popular. It'll show you the most popular ones here, or you can browse materials and find the ones that you want. So I'm just going to click on vinyl. With that selected, you can choose the pressure, more or less default, and then it'll give you these tools that will go in here. If you use the pin, it'll probably ask you to clamp something in clamp A. It'll ask you for the fine point blade in clamp B, which will always be there, and it'll ask you to load the mat, which you will see in the second video.